I'm Lieutenant Jacqueline Davis, Jacklyn Davis, spokeswoman for the Anne Arundel County Police Department, and I am joined today by our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. George Arlotto. So just at about 8:45 this morning, our SROs, we have two school resource officers in Annapolis High School, were walking the hallways when they observed a fight at the top of one of the stairwells. Those SROs went to the fight. When they got up to the group of juveniles, one of the teachers started yelling, "He has a knife, he has a knife." The officers were able to very quickly disarm that subject and take him into custody. That's when they noticed that there were two juvenile males that had been cut or stabbed by a knife. Those two juveniles were transported to separate area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. Again, non-life-threatening injuries for the two injured juveniles. As of right now, 7 other juveniles have been arrested with this incident, with the potential of more coming as this investigation continues. Right now, investigators believe that this started with an incident that occurred off school property, maybe in a neighborhood or surrounding areas, but they do not believe that the actual root of this fight originated on school property. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Arlotto.
Thank you. Good morning. So let me begin by saying I'm thankful that the 2 students that were injured were not injured seriously. I also want to send my thanks to the Annapolis High School staff, as well as the 2 SROs that were on the scene. They were able to break up the altercation very quickly and minimize any injuries to other students that were involved in this fight. The fight did expand beyond the 2 students initially, and the SROs and the staff intervened immediately, and I'm very appreciative of that work. Our understanding is that this is a carryover from an incident previously in the neighborhood, in the community from a week and a half ago, I'm told by the principal, Mr. Gelinas, and that this may have been some form of retaliation from one student to the other. This is incredibly unfortunate and unacceptable in our schools. We are so glad to get our students back into school after now 18 plus months of working through this pandemic. We are so delighted that we're back to 5 days a week of in-person classes to be interrupted by something like this. The students at Annapolis High School missed out on some of their instruction today because the school had to go to lockdown to gain control of this incident, which again, the school did very, very quickly, and I'm appreciative of that. We need the help, this school system. I need the help of the community. I need the help of the community to wrap their arms around our students and our families so that our students know how to better manage their emotions and that they don't take these sorts of things out in violence against each other, and particularly at our schools, because our schools are a safe place for our students each and every day. I will let you know that we have additional officers there today. We'll work with both the Anne Arundel County and the Annapolis Police Department as we do each and every day into the future regarding this event. We have additional staff at the school that we've assigned there through today and into the foreseeable future as needed. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Officer Davis.
Sir.
Help us characterize, was it one person with a knife, or multiple people, do you understand?
So there was one person armed with a knife, but there was multiple people involved in this incident. So 7 people have been charged thus far, with the potential for more charges down the line once the investigation continues.
You cover that knife?
Yes, that we do have that knife in custody, correct. Ah. Right now it's just the knife that was used in the incident. And I'm sorry, go right ahead. Oh, yep, sorry, yep.
Thank you. Sorry, everybody.
You got it, yeah, right. Woo. It's like Jenga. That we don't know right now. That's something that our detectives will look into, but right now we don't have any reason to believe that it's gang related.
And can I ask about the communication with parents? We had a lot of concerned parents who felt like they didn't know what was going on. Can you explain how the school?
Sure, we've got what we call Connect Ed, which is an electronic system that can put out emails, text messages, as well as phone calls, and they went out to parents as soon as we knew information that the school was on lockdown.
I'm hearing from multiple kids that there's a near daily fight.
So I've not heard of near daily fights. That's not something that's been shared with me, nor was it shared with me and Mr. Gelinas when I was just meeting with him a few minutes ago over at the school. So that I'm not aware of. And no, it's been a really solid start in terms of the schools and the students getting back on track and getting back into their routines after being absent from so long to in-person instruction. It's really been a positive start. Clearly, we've got some issues with transportation, and we've had issues with students having to quarantine because of positive cases, but related to what's happening in the classroom and the hallways each and every day, it's been a really solid start.
Has there been other fights this year? So far this
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
Has there been other fights so far this year besides this one?
Not that I'm aware of.
Lieutenant Davis or Dr. Lotta, can you guys give us details about the gender or age of the kids who were arrested and charged?
Not right now, they were all juveniles. So it depends on what charges are placed on them after we confer with the state's attorney's office, whether or not more information will be released on them, like if they're charged as an adult with a crime, if that makes sense. I'm sorry?
What grade?
They were just students at the school.
Okay, and were they all male students?
They were just all students at the school. Yep.
Can you describe what you guys, I'm sorry, were late arriving?
Yep, you're just fine. Nope.
Can you describe again what your officers encountered and did once they got to the school? What did you find?
Yeah, so it was actually our two SROs, and I have to say that the SROs in all of our schools, we have a great working relationship with Dr. Arlotto and the administration here. The SROs and Dr. Arlotto's team at that school really potentially could have saved a lot more trauma and injury at the school. So the SROs were walking the hallways and saw the fight at the top of the stairs. So when they got up there, a teacher had already come out and saw that one of the kids was armed with a knife, and she was the one that yelled, "Hey, he has a knife, he has a knife." We all know how dangerous those situations can be. Had the officers not known beforehand that this student was armed with a knife, that could have ended tragically as well. So we are very fortunate that these SROs did exactly what they are trained to do, to take this student into custody as safely as possible for everybody. So he was taken into custody moments after the administrator, the teacher, told them, "Hey, he's got a knife." Got the knife, got him in custody. And then the school has been instrumental in helping our SROs and our detectives identify, going through the camera footage and interviews, of identifying who else was involved. So far we do have 7 charged. They may be being charged with offenses that I can release more info on later. Don't know about that yet. But as of right now, it's 7 juveniles with the potential of more being charged.
You're keeping a presence there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we do have 2 full-time SROs there normally, but today and as needed, we will have more officers on scene just to make everybody feel more comfortable. Doesn't mean that the students are in any more danger or any danger. It's just to make them feel more comfortable, and also to build those relationships. Any chance we have to talk to a student or have a positive interaction with them, we're gonna take that for sure. So, one second. Could be a-
How did you get the student into custody?
No, there was no use of force in this incident. So we didn't use any tasers, no batons, none of that. My understanding was as soon as he was told to drop the knife, the student complied with the demands of the officers, which is ideal in a horrible situation. That's what we want, for sure.
A lot of kids
Good.
left, kind of a steady stream there. Some parents have not a ton, but a lot of kids have been walking out. What do you say to the school community about safety, their concerns? One dad said, "Well, they got her out today, and I'm not sure she's coming back tomorrow." Your message to the advocates?
Yeah, thank you for the question. The message is this is a safe school. And the message is thank you. The students complied with exactly what we asked them to do. So as the hallways were full and there was passing from one class to the next, and the school administration announced that we were going to go into a lockdown situation, the students knew what that was. These are things that we have practiced for a lot of different reasons, and the students went into a safe place and were monitored by adults while the administration and law enforcement got control of the situation. So I thank them for their response. That kept themselves and the rest of the school community safe.
Again, this principal's telling you that there haven't been other fights?
Not that I'm aware of.
Dr. Arlotto, what security measures are to get into school for somebody who brought a knife? Are they just bringing it in their backpack?
So I don't know how this student brought the knife into the school, but we funnel our students through our at Annapolis High School in particular has an entrance that the students go through. It's a double security vestibule, so there are adults checking in with students as they enter the building each and every day. We do not have metal detectors in our buildings, no.
And are the SROs armed?
are armed with, taser, handgun, every tool that we have. They dress down in what we call the soft uniform. If you see Mr. Lemansky, it's similar to that with the polo shirts and that kind of stuff. But they are armed for an incident like this. What if this person didn't comply? And what if there was an active stabbing going on? God forbid. But no, our SROs are trained to de-escalate and not to use force unless they absolutely have to. And thank God in this case it worked out exactly the way we would want it to work out. And to put it into perspective, our SRO called out with this fight at 8:47, and the school was lifted off of lockdown at 10:10. So to have the school safe, everybody moved, the fire department in and out, our officers and detectives doing their investigation to be able to resume school activities, less than an hour and a half later is a huge feat for Dr. Arlotto's team and for the police department. So for a horrible situation like this, it's really the best case scenario, that non-life-threatening injuries and we got people in custody and school back in session. Like Dr. Arlotto says, these kids haven't been in school for a year and a half and they want to be there. And we want and we need them there too. So absolutely. Yes, sir. I can't hear you, I'm sorry. Not that I am aware of. If he was not transported to a hospital, if that's the question, I don't know if there was, other injuries from the fight itself. That I don't know. If that, no. Mm-mm.
Were the two people injured also arrested?
No, I don't believe that the two that are in that 7. I can double check on that for you, though. That's a good question. I don't believe so, though.
Can you describe how you're saying?
It could be a plethora of charges. Obviously, you have the school charges, the affray, disorderly. You have assault, depending on the intent. You stab somebody, that's could be an attempted murder if it goes that way. Now, that's not saying that that's what this is in this case. It depends on motive and all of that stuff. They will look into, the obvious, maybe it could have been a self-defense thing. So detectives are still sorting through all of this. It's going to take us a little bit to really get to the bottom line of it. But I think the important thing today is that the two that were injured, it's non-life-threatening injuries. The school and the police departments, the training we have together, it works, which is good and should be putting some parents' minds at ease. I have kids in the Anne Arundel County Public School, and it puts my mind at ease to see when things like this happen, how efficient both departments are in getting the situation handled quickly and safely and effectively.
Did this event
Done.
happen where cameras were able to see the whole thing?
That I'm not sure of. We do have cameras in the school, but I don't know if it caught I don't know if you want to speak to that.
So I've not reviewed any of the videotape, so I can't tell you specifically what has been captured, but we have video cameras throughout our building, and if there is videotape of this incident, our security team will go through that in conjunction with the police department.
Have you seen any of the cell?
I'm sorry?
Have you seen any of the cell phone footage of what?
I have not.
It was pretty dramatic and frightening. What do you say to the parents who came and got their kids and saw this? And if you don't mind, when you answer, maybe look out there. So, this shit is like it's pretty dramatic stuff, and people were scared and screaming.
So I haven't seen any of the, I haven't seen footage from either our cameras or from personal cell phone cameras. I'm absolutely certain it was traumatic. Anytime there's a fight in one of our schools, and in this case, it involved a weapon and a student got stabbed, that is frightening to anybody that would have witnessed this. And so I tell our students and staff, again, thank you for your quick reaction. Thank you for keeping yourself and your classmates safe. We can't control what every single person in our school chooses to do, and that's the reason I'm asking for the community's assistance. I need our students to understand there is a better way to work through your frustration. There's a better way to work through your anger. Let us help you with that. Let your parents help you with that. Let your clergy help you with that. Let the community help you with that. But there is a better way.
Also on that point too, our crisis intervention team responded to the school. So our CIT does have units at the school to help with students work through that trauma. And I think that's a really good point to bring out too, the trauma and how awful things look, because when you stand behind the cameras and I stand in front of the microphone, it's easy for me to say X, Y, and Z happened, and you don't have that context of what that does to people, of, the secondary trauma of these kids seeing, their friend or, a loved one, a boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, involved in something like this. it's not easy, and it kind of turns run-of-the-mill for all of you doing these stories day after day, and for me standing up here and giving you the spiel at day after day. But it is traumatic, and it's huge, and it's one of those things that's going to impact these students potentially for a very long time, and that is not something that the school nor the police department overlook. Like I said, our CIT was involved from the jump. They're there now, and they will continue to follow up with these students. And that's because Dr. Arlotto allowing them to come into the school and to help, and obviously the school has their counseling services and all that as well. So that's a very good point, very good question. Thank you, because it's easy for people to just watch the news and click through, not thinking about the people that this affected firsthand. That's a fantastic question.
Just
Have a
another
joy.
part real quick. Prior to today, did you guys hear about any of this chatter that something like this could spill over? And if students heard of something like this, what should they do to inform officials about this?
So it's definitely a two-part question. So the first part of this, most of these students actually live in Annapolis City. So they don't live in Anne Arundel County's jurisdiction. They would live in Annapolis Police jurisdiction. We do work very closely with them, as do the schools. So our HSI section, or our intelligence section, routinely follows up on any threats that they get, not just threats of mass violence, but threats of so-and-so to so-and-so. And we have the what we call the ERPOs, or the Extreme Risk Protective Orders, and those type of things. So we do have a unit that follows up on any of those serious threats. So if a student does hear something, tell an administrator, tell a teacher. You can even get home, tell your parents, call us, call Annapolis City Police. It doesn't matter who you call, just tell somebody that you trust, and the information, it will get to us. We have a very streamlined communication set. Poor Mr. Mosier gets sick of hearing from me every other day with stuff. So it's very streamlined with the information sharing between the jurisdictions, and then between the police and the school boards too. So it's great. Sir. Uh-huh. So it was two kids that were sent to area hospitals with the injuries. I'm sorry, I just hit your mic. And I believe everybody involved was at the school, was not from outside. It wasn't an intruder that came in. It was all great. So so our understanding is that everybody involved was enrolled in that school, if that answers your question. So no outsiders came in or any of that. Not that we know of right now. We don't have any reason to feel that way. That's something that investigators will look into, just as a course of thorough investigation, obviously, right? But right now we don't have any inclination to feel that this is a gang or turf issue type of thing.
Jackie, were they
Yes.
stabbed or were they cut with the knife? And can you describe the knife?
I have not seen the knife, so I can't, but I can get you more information on it, whether it was a pocket knife or steak knife or that kind of stuff. I can get that for you, unless Dr. Arlotto knows. Okay. I'm sorry, what was the other part of that?
Were they cut or were they fully stabbed with the knife?
I believe it was both. I think there was some cut injuries, some slice injuries, and then puncture, but I'm not 100% sure on who, where, what, and we're not going to get into too much details about HIPAA stuff and things, if that makes sense. Non-life-threatening injuries. I don't want to say minor, but not non-life-threatening.
Against the backdrop of students returning to school, we've heard from some other districts kind of trying to address the emotional well-being of students as they sort of reacclimate to this environment. Do you have any information about any of the mental health resources already at the school, either getting an increase in reports or just any additional need for counseling or emotional or behavioral addressing to happen as they return to school?
Sure. So thank you. It is a really good question, given the context, even putting this terrible incident aside and us returning to school for full in-person learning. It's something that our team, as well as our principals and teachers, have been talking about for well over a year, that when we do return, we need to be thinking really clearly about both our students and our staff and their mental well-being as they walk back into schools for full in-person learning. We only returned during our hybrid instruction last spring, at best around 50% of our students. So that means we've got 50% of our students that had not been in school full time since March of 2020. So we knew that their mental well-being and their ability to get back into the routine and get back into school was going to be of importance to us. So we literally altered our schedules, particularly at our middle school and our high school schedules, based on what we learned while we were out in virtual learning about supporting students in this frame and in this context. So we have created wellness blocks of time which occur each day at the high school level and the middle school level, where students have time with their peers and teachers, whether they are in scripted lessons or they're in time where they can just talk to each other and begin to build and rebuild those relationships. That's important. So that's ongoing and will go on throughout the school year, something we're very, very aware of, and wanted to make sure that building relationships and having conversations with students and getting them comfortable back in the school environment was first and foremost for us, and then we're going to get to the instructional piece. And that has really gone on beautifully since the beginning of the school year.
Mr. Arlotto, you said that you haven't heard about fights previous this year, but I've heard students and parents who said that they reported those fights to the administration. So I don't want to talk to the principal and get back to us.
So no, I don't think there's a need to do that. Understand that we do have fights that occur in our schools. And so, but those fights are not reported to me. So we have our assistant superintendents, our deputy superintendents that are incredibly skilled educators and administrators, and they're working with the administrative teams, the communities, and the students on supporting those students and working through investigations if there are fights. So absolutely, I'm not surprised to hear that there are fights in our buildings, and we work through each one of those. But each one of those doesn't necessarily get reported to me. Not that I'm aware of. Again, not that I'm aware of.
Hey, Don, I saw you jump in bed. Did you hear her?
Yeah, I think the question was, do I have any idea how many students went home for the day? So I don't. At just around, and I don't have the high school schedule memorized, but right around 10:30 is a block where we are finishing second period, going into lunch, and then going off to third period in general at our high schools. So that's a time where many seniors that have a partial day would be leaving the campus anyway. So you may have seen students leaving and they were going off to a work environment, they were going off to an internship, they were heading down to Cat South for their instructional block there at Cat South. But I'm certain that there are parents that came to pick up their students or students left campus, but I don't have a number. That would be something Mr. Gelinas would have at the school.
Will schools be open tomorrow, sir?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Schools will be open.